attendees in the room that are with us. I see Amy Baca, Omer, Brett Miles, I'm not sure who else is here, Michelle Murphy, Moira Cullen, Riley Kitts. A number of great folks are here to celebrate this bill. This is quite a celebration. Of course, it's a celebration to sign the public school finance bill every year because it funds our schools, which is one of the most important things that we do in our state, and the single largest thing that we do as a state from a funding perspective. But this bill is particularly wonderful, and I want to thank so many people and thought leaders. I want to thank Carrie Kennedy from my office, who pioneered and helped figure out, along with legislators, some exciting new legal strategies to rectify past wrongs. I want to thank the bill sponsors, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Lundeen, Representative McLaughlin, Representative McCluskey. This bill restores funding for critical programs. Some of them were put on hold during pandemic. 9th grade success program. It funds the Imagination Library program. We're still hoping that Dolly Parton will come to Colorado at some point, but that will help deliver one free book a month to every Colorado child under 5 who wants to participate. There's a number of exciting education bills to help strengthen our schools and increase equity. Another focus of this, support our students and educators. But I really think that this year's product and this year's work is really, well, it's only the third one I've signed. I can certainly say it's the best, but I can also probably say it's the best in decades that I've been following this stuff since I was on the State Board of Education. So with that, we'll turn it over to Senator Zenzinger.
Well, welcome everybody. While I'm speaking, actually, I would like the stakeholders to actually come up and be a part of this. I would like members of CASE, the Colorado Association of School Executives, the Colorado Education Association, Stand for Children is here, Colorado Children's Campaign is here, come on up. We also have CASB, Colorado Association of School Boards. We have so many significant partners. And the reason why I want them all to be here today is because this really took an effort by everybody in order to get this done. Also, we have in the audience Senator Moreno, and I think he should also be up here with the Joint Budget Committee. I think that, and definitely, Elizabeth, you should be up here.
I just want everybody up here.
I do. And some other folks who are hanging out in the audience who prefer to be behind the scenes. But this was such a significant effort because where we were a year ago was so incredibly bad because of the pandemic. And what this School Finance Act represents this year is we really returned back to pre-pandemic levels. We literally were able to bring down the budget stabilization factor back to where it was back in 2019 before the pandemic struck. So this is significant, but we didn't just stop there. We also returned funding to all of the grant programs that we had to cut last year because of the pandemic. But we didn't stop there. We also then turned around and we invested more money in the things that we know our kids need. We put more money into the School Counselor Core Grant Program. We put more money into the School Mill Levy Equalization Fund. We put more money into a whole host of things, and we really, truly invested in those students that need the most supports. Those students that are the most vulnerable. Those are our special education students. We increased funding by $10 million. We also put additional funding into at-risk students by broadening the definition of who is at risk. And this is fundamental, by the way, because this isn't just one time. We made a permanent change to the formula so that this can continue going forward. We also invested more money into our English language learners as well. We know that those vulnerable students are the ones that were impacted the most by the pandemic, and so it felt really good to be able to turn around and to support their education and to fund their needs. It was pretty historic that we were able to do that, and it really took all of these people to make that happen. So I want to say thank you to all of the people who worked down at the Capitol educating legislators on behalf of our schools and our districts, letting us know what they need, and then all of the work that it took from all of these good people to make it happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think we're also joined, who else do we have? Representative McCluskey?
Sure.
You're here for a person. I don't know if Barb's here or not, but you're here. So yes, glad.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you
for this great moment for our schools and for the great state of Colorado. I want to start by thanking the bill sponsors, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Lundeen, Representative McLaughlin, who can't be here today, the chair of our Education Committee in the House, who I know is probably the heart and soul of teaching in this state and has done a miraculous job working so well from far away in Durango and being a part of our team. As Senator Zenzinger said, she and I and Chair Moreno were sitting at a table a year ago making the most devastating cuts to K-12 and higher education, cuts that you feel are a nightmare at the time they're happening. And there was a lot of concern about where we would be this last year and in the years to come. Fortunately, we've been able to restore funding. We are back on track to make sure that all of our kids are succeeding in the classroom and out of the classroom. I am most proud of the formula changes that we took care of this year in this bill so that we are driving equity in the classroom. We are making sure that kids with the greatest needs, those who come from homes of poverty, those who have special needs in learning, or those who are learning English for the first time, that they have the additional resources, that our school districts, our schools, our school leaders, and our teachers are realizing those resources and have the ability to make a difference for the kids who have experienced the greatest learning loss through this pandemic. I am looking forward to what is coming next for all of us, not just in the world of education, but in our state. And I am really thankful to the partners behind me who make some of this work achievable, people who are a part of the team who help exemplify what it means to have true dedication to students and student success. And a special shout out to a member of our JBC team, Mr. Craig Harper, who is here in the audience today, who has been working for years to help all of us do better when it comes to funding our schools, and so proud to be leading the charge this year. Thank you.
Great. Do any other legislators represent Escar or anything? Okay. With that, we will sign the bill. It's official. Congratulations, Rachel. Congratulations. Thank you. We're now going to do 1164. Final bill? Final bill, right? Okay, some of you are the same folks, so you guys can stay up here for 1164 if you like. I know we're all celebrating that too. Representative Escar, Speaker Garnett, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fenberg. Of course, we want to thank Kerry Kennedy, Mark Gruskin, Leslie Cowell, Greg Harper, Jackie Melmet, Dan Furman. We want to thank the Colorado State Supreme Court, don't we? This bill remedies past wrongs very simply. It corrects a long-standing error that ignored the will of the voters, and it does it in a sensible way. It establishes more local funding for our schools that frees up state funding to be used in a more equitable manner. And really, I think this will systemically be a major step towards a better school finance structure, in Colorado by remedying some inaccuracies of the past. And again, I particularly want to thank Kerry Kennedy. I think this started off as a legal theory, and that's why the Supreme Court was asked, and they confirmed that this was a way to remedy this. And the legislature, of course, is following through and fixing that. So I want to thank all of you for your incredible work around addressing some inaccuracies of the past and helping to create a more equitable way to fund schools going forward. And with that, we'll turn it over to Representative Danae Escar, the House Majority Leader.
Great. Thank you so much for allowing me to join virtually. This is definitely not a bill signing I wanted to miss. An OB appointment I couldn't move, so thank you for allowing me to join this way. I can't say thank you enough to the people who I know are in the room, Craig Harper, Children's Campaign, for so many years worth of work. This is not a bill that we just decided to do this year. This is a bill that has been in the making, different ways and different ideas that we've tried for over the years.
Well, thank you, Representative Eskar. I also want to thank Speaker Garnett, Majority Leader Fenberg, and we'll turn it over to Senator Zenzinger.
Well, I also want to thank Representative Majority Leader Danae Eskar. Her work early on, in the early years on this, when we were butting our head up against the wall and not making progress, we shed many tears over this policy, trying to get it across the finish line. So I'm very grateful that we were able to do this together, and I really owe her a debt of gratitude to allow me to join her in this fight. I have my two children in the room. I have a sophomore, soon to be a junior, and I have a junior, soon to be a senior. Well, I guess they are juniors and seniors now. And they have never been in a fully funded public school since their entire career. And that's because of the budget stabilization factor. And ultimately, that's what this policy does, is this corrects a wrong. This is not about taxes. It's not even really about mill levies. This is about righting a wrong that took place years ago and making sure that we can correct that error and return this valuable funding that the voters wanted to go to their schools actually goes to the schools. And so it may have taken, 15, 17 years if I'm doing my math right, but it doesn't matter, more than that, because at the end of the day, we're making a huge difference. I agree with Majority Leader Eskar. This is, I would say, when I look back at all of the legislation that I've passed, this one is the most significant and the most meaningful to me. And that's because I know that it's going to make a difference going into the future, well into the future. And it's going to make sure that our children, our students, get the resources that they deserve, that they get the fully funded public schools that they deserve. And it was really difficult. Again, we have a lot of people to thank for this. I also want to echo thanks to Carrie Kennedy. I most want to thank Leslie Colwell, who is behind me here. Her perseverance and just her attitude, every time we were confronted with another problem, she'd say, okay, well, what about this? And she'd come up with another way of looking at it, another way to think about it, another way to approach the problem. And both Representative Eskar and I, we would roll our eyes. We'd be like, oh, we can't possibly do that. And she'd say, yeah, you can. So we had a lot of people cheering us from the sidelines. I also want to say thank you to Craig Harper from the Joint Budget Committee staff, who's in the audience today. He brought this problem to light to the Joint Budget Committee years ago, actually. And he wrote a memo that I brought with me to the podium when we passed this bill, 1164 on third reading. It's not that I needed the memo, but I just really felt strong and secure holding it because it was the foundation, it was the grounding for why we did what we did and why it was really important. So thank you for that. And I want to say thank you to everybody that worked on this issue. It's my first Supreme Court case too, so it always helps to be on the winning side of those things. So I want to say thank you, and I'm very excited to get this bill signed. So let's get the show on the road.
All right, let's make it the law of Colorado. Ready? There you are, Senator. Congratulations, everybody. Carrie, come on down. Got a pen for you here.